On today's DNVR Broncos podcast, we are talking about the Super Bowl MVP potentially joining the Denver Broncos. Does Kenneth Walker make sense for the Broncos to go after this offseason? Plus, we've got some updates on Courtland Sutton and J.L Skinner's fun show starting now. Kenneth, walk on down to Denver because you are a Bronco. Will that happen? In just a month from now, we're going to break down the MVP of the Super Bowl potentially joining the Broncos, and we're going to do it on the DNVR Broncos podcast live from the Xfinity studio right here inside the DNVR Bar. We are the DNVR Broncos podcast. Ryan Koenigsberg to my left, Henry Chisholm to my right. We got a throwback behind the camera. We got you here rocking and rolling with us today. And shout out to everyone in the Toyota chat joining us on this wonderful Wednesday. How we feeling, fellas?
Great. It's a good summer day in Colorado again, and the winter is gone.
Other than the Winter Olympics.
Yes.
Which I love.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
They must be in a different hemisphere.
Well,
Same hemisphere.
I don't know.
Right.
It's summer here.
right.
That's
Yeah.
true.
But I decided, because most of them are in the middle of the night, so I figured I could pick and choose my spots to like set an alarm for 2:30. But you can't do that every night. Yeah.
What's great is that the algorithm has its problems. But currently I'm not in the Olympic algorithm, so I get no spoilers. And I just watch at primetime like my mom would
Back
or
in the
something.
50s,
Yeah. I'm doing the same.
I'm like, wow, like this is incredible. I can't believe I didn't hear anything about this unbelievable competition. And I want to keep it that way.
Yeah. No, I mean, this time it was Chloe Kim. The qualifiers were at 2:30.
Don't
So I
spoil.
woke up for that one, and I woke up for Lindsey Vonn. Did you hear what happened to Lindsey Vonn?
Yes.
Not today, right?
Yeah. Okay, I can spoil that.
Not
Weeks ago.
today.
No.
Yeah, okay,
She's in the
okay.
Days
hospital.
ago, I
Yeah.
guess.
But yeah, no, those are the two that I've decided I can wake up at 2:30 to watch those. But you can't do it every day because that's just not sustainable.
Right. I would prefer going to sleep after that.
The problem is we have the show. So I want to be up at like 9:30.
So are you going back to sleep?
Yeah.
So wake up 2:30, watch.
Yeah.
Then
It's
go
like
back to sleep at
2
what, like
hours
4:30?
before and then like 4 hours after, and then
That
you're just
actually-
tired all
that's
day.
fine, yeah.
I will probably need a nap today. But eventually I'll get the formula down.
That's some very good commitment to the Olympics, Henry. I'm impressed.
I love the Winter Olympics. I forget every time because like even last night I get done with it and I'm just back watching like all the Shaun White highlights from the Olympics and the X Games. And it's just like there's nothing like it.
Shaun White?
Yeah.
Is he still going?
No.
I think this is the first Olympics without him, though,
Yeah.
right?
He's only
like
39.
first summer or winter Olympics without him.
Yeah.
Because he does both.
I was really sad that Michaela Schifrin didn't get a medal in that combo pairs thing.
I don't
She wasn't ripping.
I don't understand how during the whole broadcast they're calling her the GOAT, the GOAT, the GOAT, the GOAT, and she has 2 Olympic medals.
That's like the story. It's like she's dominant everywhere except she's just failed in the Olympics.
It's like a Peyton Manning situation.
Right.
But
It is very
Peyton's
much Peyton Manning.
Been
How many
He did get
gold
the
medals
second.
does Peyton have?
He did get the second.
it's different though because you get no, it is different because what she's been in 3 or 4 Olympics, I think.
This is her 4th.
4th Olympics, and she competes in probably 2 to 5 things every year. She's just like 20 opportunities. She's like,
So like
she's
I don't know, like 1 a year.
She's like 10%. Peyton's like,
There's only Olympics every 4 years.
right.
So if she competes in 4 events, that's exactly the same as Peyton Manning.
Look at other skiers. Look at Lindsey Vonn. Look at other skiers and how many golds they have. It's not a 1-to-1. You cannot do that 1-to-1 comparison. This is not the same thing.
I think it is.
No.
What do you think of all the records?
In non-Olympics,
Yeah.
impressive.
Okay.
Yeah, impressive.
Okay.
I don't like this. I don't like this disparagement of a Colorado athlete.
I just don't know how you can be a GOAT when you don't crush at the biggest
Well,
stage
let's see how she does
ever.
here.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll be rooting for her, by the way.
snow in
I just
Beijing
didn't
was
understand
not
it all.
proper.
Famously. In proper snow.
What about the snow last night?
By the way,
Or I
speaking
guess
of,
yesterday,
if we had
early
the Winter
morning.
Olympics, which famously, we declined the Winter Olympics here in Colorado.
Yeah.
Not this year.
Only place to ever decline
I
an
believe
Olympics.
so, yes. If we had them this year, they would just had to cancel. No snow.
Right.
In the
There is
mountains
no
there
snow.
are.
Oh, really?
Thankfully, a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
We would have been accused of improper snow.
We would have been.
Yeah, that's probably
It would have been
true.
fake snow.
Terrible.
Speaking of things that are putting some people in a little bit of panic mode, little outrage right now, Courtland Sutton went to social media, was it late last night, I think, and posted a little highlight reel of his season. And
Is the whole thing in black and white?
no, only some of it. Screen captured by you here, so you can blame him for not liking the post right there. That's kind of rude, you here, to not. Oh, okay. So you can blame someone on Twitter.
Wait,
but,
who did he tag in it?
What?
Who did he tag in it?
Maybe his teammate, his wife.
He's the only one in the picture.
The Denver.
I think it's a
reel.
carousel. It's a video.
It's a video. Yeah. So he captions it. Chapter closed with a little praying emoji, the little thankful emoji, something like that. And as you can see, the bottom comment says chapter closed. What the heck? No way. And a lot of people have taken that caption and are freaking out.
Court's retiring.
Yeah,
Oh, boy.
he's demanding
Back
a
to
trade.
he's going to
He's
NBA.
demanding a release. He's not a Bronco anymore. What is going on? Everyone, calm down.
Yep.
He's talking about this past season.
Yes, that.
chapter
Right.
is closed, and he is moving on from that.
Yes. I'm just begging Broncos fans, as I often do, just a little mental fortitude.
Wow.
Like, you don't need like a lot, but just like it's the watch-alongs that
The
kill it.
watch-alongs
The
will really
watch-alongs
make
are where
you
you learn
question the
like, oh
fortitude.
no, like you gave up a first quarter touchdown and now the defense is the worst in the NFL. It's like, how many times are they calling for Bo Nix to be benched in the second quarter before he goes and leads like a crazy comeback? But that's where I learned.
When
Broncos country, a little mental fortitude. This is one of those cases where there's absolutely nothing, but you make it into something just because you're a little bit insane.
when Lil Jordan dropped a touchdown in the first quarter of the Bills game, first drive of the Bills game, someone went back to my post being pro signing Lil Jordan, was like, he just lost us a playoff game.
Good thing he
Crazy.
caught one later.
Crazy.
And so the thing with Court is we actually have a history of this. And Ryan, you brought that up before the show. So when he did this last year, wasn't it last year or was it 2 years ago? I can't remember, but it was like the January, right? No, it was 2 years ago. It was right after Russ. And obviously things were very up in the air with everyone
flux, yes.
after Russ. And so he posted something similar, and it was a caption, something similar to this. There was legitimacy to be like, okay, what is he talking about now?
he wasn't under
He
contract,
wasn't under
right?
contract. He had already sat out at training camp, or he was going to, and it was known that he wanted a contract. So then it's like, okay, there might be something to this. The reason there is we can put this to bed right now, guys, he's about to enter the first year of his contract extension coming up.
Yeah.
The Broncos can't trade him. The Broncos can't cut him. He cannot ask to
retire.
he can retire. There's zero reason he would want to be traded. He just made the Pro Bowl with Bo Nix, so on the field is good, off the field is good because the Broncos are paying him. Look at this. The Broncos, if they were to cut him, would have $40 million in dead cap this year. They would save negative $25 million. So it would cost them $25 extra million
I hate saving negative
to
money.
release him.
Right.
Me too.
Right.
And if they were to trade him, they would lose $8 million in cap money this year because he would take on $22 million cap hit when he's only on the books for $15 million this year. So just wanted to put that to bed.
Spot rack.
Spot rack.
That's all you got to do. Just go there, open
Yeah.
it up, see what the contract looks like. Okay, he's going nowhere.
So
Yeah.
it's spot rack.
Yeah.
Spot
no one
rack.
really
Yes.
knows.
Yes. I think it is
Yeah.
spot rack.
Yeah. I don't know.
What's that spelled backward?
Oh my
Hard.
God. Is it?
For
Hard.
a
I thought
second,
it was just going to
Hard
say
hops.
contracts.
for a second, I thought it was.
Yeah. I mean, it just,
Hard tops.
again, mental fortitude. Mental fortitude. Like, this is going to be a long off season because it wouldn't even make sense. Like, Ryan, how many chapters are in a book?
It's hard to tell.
Zach, would you like? I trust your judgment better.
Every book has a different amount of
Yeah,
chapters.
It's true. There's like what, but can you like?
Were you actually looking for a real answer?
But I mean, just like some
Several.
sort of.
Henry, let's use some mental fortitude when you ask these questions.
But just some sort of answer. Let's say
Is this
maybe
a trick question?
I don't know, maybe like 20 in a book.
Okay.
Maybe it's 40, maybe it's whatever. Just say maybe it's like 20. If the Broncos were one chapter in the Courtland Sutton book, and he spent half the year there or half his career there, that would be a 2-chapter book.
2-chapter book.
Books have more than 2 chapters.
Right. It would probably be a whole new book.
Right. Exactly. So if they said confused. Like first book is over, like volume 1 over, but again, even if you just listen to what he said, chapters, Bronco, that would be a long ass chapter.
Compelling point here. SPOTRAC, short for sports tracking. SPOTRAC.
Could be.
Wouldn't you add?
This track would make the most sense of all the words that are possible in there because you are tracking things.
Let's just throw the R in there.
Sport track.
Sport track.
Sport rack.
Yeah, sport rack. That might be something else.
By the way, more chapters, always better.
In a book?
Yep.
Because then they're shorter?
Well, I just feel a sense of accomplishment
I'm right.
every time I finish a chapter.
Yeah.
Man, when you...
Chapters 3 pages long, but it's like 100 chapters. Are you cool with that?
Yeah. I love that.
When you like
I'm
get
like,
in...
man, I'm cruising through this book. I've only read like 2 books. But
I was gonna say the last during school when you would like have a new book or something and the teacher would be like, okay, you got to read 1 chapter. You're like, oh man, that's great. You open it up and it's like 35 pages.
Yeah.
Like, the next class is like, okay, you got to read 10 chapters, and you're like, what? And they're each 2 pages. You're like, oh, okay, that's not too bad.
yeah, exactly.
Right.
One other thing that we need to get to, a piece of news from the internet. J.L. Skinner announced that he had surgery for a torn labrum. He said it was torn all the way around. He had been playing with it all season long. And just what a trooper. I mean, this is pure toughness. He was never on the injury report, I don't believe, from this, and played every single game. Obviously played a little bit on defense, but was a special teams all-star. I wondered that too. I don't know. Maybe not. Who knows?
I'm sure there'll be some pushback on the reporting that he had it all year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nope, just came up last game. I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, and then we'll refer back to his Instagram post.
Maybe he didn't tell anyone. Is that allowed?
Yeah, I think so.
The thing is,
If you don't get treatment for it, though,
Right.
like that would just be like...
and how do you know without going to the team doctor?
Maybe he went to his own doctor.
Maybe. I mean, that'd be a crazy decision, but
would.
it's possible.
Got great insurance.
RK's out here building the defense for the Broncos just in case they go to court.
Yeah, he posted on his Instagram, whole season with my labrum tore all around. Just wait till we play in with no pain. And then at the bottom, he says, to win again.
So what if he tore his labrum before the season, and therefore he was in the same condition the whole season, so nothing changed from his original condition?
Yeah.
Bo Lowry, you did a good job spinning that one. Yeah, I truly don't know. Maybe with a torn labrum, this sounds wrong, but maybe with a torn labrum, there's nothing you can do outside of surgery. So like there is no rehab that you can do. So he's not actually in the treatment facility getting work. And then I think that's where you have to put them down on the injury report, is if they're getting work done for something. That's why some guys are listed as full on the injury report, but listed like with a thumb.
Right.
It's because Alex Singleton's in there getting his broken thumb work done, but he still can practice full or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, this just speaks to me of how freaking tough this dude is. And I mean, he's a special teams all-star. We saw him. Vance was trusting him in goal line situations to put him in as the safety. We've seen some young players kind of play special teams for many years in a row and then get their chance to break out on whether it's Justin Strnad, whether it's PJ Locke, get their chances. Devin Key as well. Yeah, I'm not counting JL out for to be a player on the Broncos defense along with special teams.
Yeah, it's just a reminder that everybody's playing with something. You know, you get to the end of the season and a third of the team needs to get some sort of like little surgery or whatever. And obviously this is a big one. But also, I mean, I'm not a doctor. Quarterback, you have a torn labrum, you're screwed. Receiver, you have a torn labrum, you're kind of screwed.
Yep.
When your job's to run straight ahead and just hit the guy as hard as you can, it's not ideal, but it's he's a gunner.
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking safety. Is that the number one best position to have a torn labrum in the starting 22?
Because
Yeah.
linemen
Even defensive
putting a lot
linemen, you
of-
want to get your hands
And you're
up.
constantly like,
Yeah, you're fighting when you need like as much power as you can
there'd
get.
be a chance, unless it's like fullback.
Yeah.
It'd be
Fullback
it'd be interesting.
But
Yeah,
fullback might have to
honestly.
catch
Yeah.
a pass above his head at some point.
It's true.
Honestly, safety. Yeah, because cornerback, you would need to defend passes more than a safety would. Yeah, that's a good point.
And he doesn't play too much safety.
Right, gunner.
A lot of it is just he's really good at running straight ahead and getting a shoulder into guys.
Henry,
I guess
can
now
you
he has
go-
to use the other shoulder.
Can you grind
Probably
the tape
hurts.
tonight and see if JL ever lifts both
Wow.
of his arms above his shoulder?
Wow.
I'd
Yeah.
rather you grind
We
the
have an
tape
ad break
on,
coming up.
Kenneth Walker.
Kenneth Walker. All right, let's.
I did the irresponsible thing and just looked at the highlights.
That is. But it is
It's very
responsible of you
irresponsible.
to admit that.
It is. It
Yeah.
is responsible.
Eventually
and
I'll know.
speaking of Kenneth Walker, he was just named Super Bowl MVP, and he's a free agent. Should the Broncos replace J.K. Dobbins with Kenneth Walker, or would you rather see them re-sign J.K. Dobbins? Let's dive
someone
into
else.
this conversation coming up next.
Bet365 is the place to go if you're making bets. We've got one more night of NBA basketball. The Olympic hockey has started. I'm currently about to lose some money on Finland because I thought the good team would beat the bad team that doesn't have any NHL players, but it is what it is. The Olympics are a lot of fun. All sorts of bets over there. All-star break coming up for the NBA. Jamal Murray's going to be in the three-point contest. A whole bunch of cool stuff coming up on Bet365. As always, remember, they're a proud partner of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche, which is awesome. Breaking news from our friends over at Bet365. If you're a new customer, you can now get $200 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. Sign up, use the code DNVR365, deposit $10, place a bet for $5, get $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins or loses. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older, physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone who has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply.
Have you heard of Goldbelly? Because it's this amazing site where you can get not just delicious food from across the country, but iconic food from very specific spots like Anchor Bar in Buffalo to get the original buffalo wings. You can get Franklin's Barbecue straight from Texas. I have got Chicago deep dish sent straight from Chicago. And man, I cannot wait to throw that thing in the oven and have a perfect Chicago deep style pizza at my house. That is what Goldbelly does. It's such an awesome company that it's perfect for Valentine's Day too. They've got a lot of Valentine's and cakes and sweets there. So if you want to get 20% off, go to goldbelly.com and use the code DNVR. So whether you're looking to turn game day into an unforgettable experience with friends or you want to impress a loved one for Valentine's Day, go to goldbelly.com and use that code DNVR for 20% off. Goldbelly.com, DNVR for 20% off your first order. Big shout out to everyone that's tuning in with us on the DNVR Broncos podcast, live from the Xfinity studio here inside the DNVR bar. Okay, let's get in to this conversation about Kenneth Walker, and let's do it in our Xfinity X Factor, because man, there was no bigger X Factor, maybe besides the kicker, than Kenneth Walker in that game. That's why he was named Super Bowl MVP and our Xfinity X Factor. Imagine that. Guys, first off, before we just dive into him going to the Broncos, what did you think about his performance on Sunday?
I thought it was better than any other offensive player.
On both teams.
Yeah. And I thought that I had never seen him run that patient. Now, I don't watch every Seahawks game, but I thought kind of the difference between Charbonnet and Walker was Charbonnet did a better job of setting up his blocks and, finishing runs. And I don't know if Kenneth just had an epiphany once Charbonnet went down, I've got to be better at this. It was my favorite characteristic of JK this season, was just how good he was at setting up his runs. And so I was impressed by that from Kenneth Walker, because at least from a narrative standpoint, I always thought he was kind of a guy who just rammed into the line and then bounced it out.
Yeah, on Sunday, he looked like another Michigan State back, and that's Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah.
And so that's exactly what I saw. I'm a little bummed for him that his offensive lineman near the end of the game got that holding penalty, because then he was going to get a touchdown, and then he, I think, would have had over 200 rushing yards and a touchdown.
But the holding penalty did set up the run.
I'm bummed that he cheated in order to get his guy. I'm not blaming the refs on that.
Just move your
one.
feet a little bit.
Yeah, that's very fair. But I mean, just an incredible game. I agree with you. It's so hard to give it to a defensive player. That someone on Seattle's defense probably deserved it, but he did deserve to be the MVP from the offensive standpoint.
I think Witherspoon might get it if they call that a forced fumble rather than an interception. They originally did and then flipped it to an interception because then he would have had 2 sacks, a forced fumble, I think 1 or 2 pass breakups.
Derek
Hall had the 2 sacks and the forced fumble too. From the Russell Wilson trade.
Yep, I was going to say, Devon Witherspoon.
Right.
Russell Wilson trade.
You're welcome,
Both of those
Seahawks.
guys?
Yeah.
Yep, and they're starting left
4
tackle.
sacks and 2 forced fumbles.
Dang.
Between
You know
those
what's
two.
crazy is as recently as like, I don't know, before this season, it still kind of seemed like somehow the Broncos won the trade.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That cannot be said anymore.
Good time to plug Draft Pod every Thursday, and I'm going back onto it starting tomorrow. And tomorrow we're talking about the Russell Wilson trade, which will be a little bit dark, but also scouting lessons from the Super Bowl.
Good.
Which those short little Will Campbell
tiny
arms is the big lesson. You can't have those little arms.
I've decided this is the year that I get invited on to the draft show.
Oh.
Now that's not up to me.
No, it's not. You gotta
Henry,
earn
do you
it.
know people?
I got
Maybe
the
put a
invite
good-
this week.
put a
I
good
don't
word
have
in?
the power to be inviting others. But I will say, here's a start.
I'm becoming a big draft guy.
I like
So
that.
first half, we were talking some of those Super Bowl type storylines. Second half, we're doing like a draft update for the people like me who have not paid any attention, like watch college football but haven't like studied
that.
anything. So I'll come with all my what I'm calling the basic bitch questions. Yeah. So like Fernando Mendoza, number 1 pick. Like, is he good?
Yeah.
Or like, who's gonna be the first receiver?
Right. And that can apply to anyone.
Where is their depth in the draft? Exactly. Right. Yeah. Right.
So Kenneth Walker.
Really quick to just plugging the draft right now. We've got the draft guide already up,
Right.
and it's already been cooking for weeks, months. Now, just Broncos Country has been so entrenched in this season, which has been awesome. But now it is kind of time to start shifting to free agency and the draft, and we're going to quickly be doing that just in a second here, talking about Kenneth Walker. But if you want to get the draft guide, start familiarizing yourself, it is an incredible resource. And we're going to continue to dig into it on our show. But if you don't want to wait for us to do it in the next couple of days, you can do it over at DNVR.com. So Kenneth Walker, the X Factor in the Super Bowl, Xfinity X Factor. Imagine that. What do you think of him as a free agent? Because his rookie contract just expired, and he is set to hit the open market in less than a month right now.
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts on this. One, I think if you were a huge Kenneth Walker fan hoping the Broncos would sign him, him winning Super Bowl MVP was the worst possible thing that could happen. One, it increased his value pretty dramatically. 2, it increased his value to the Seahawks pretty dramatically. And so, as we saw with the Broncos, when they won Super Bowl 50 and Von Miller was MVP and he was about to be a free agent, like, your hands are just completely tied. Von had all of the leverage. What are you going to do? Not re-sign the Super Bowl MVP? Like, of course
You
are.
have to. You're just stuck.
I don't want this to be an open and shut conversation, but it did just get much more unlikely for the Broncos to sign Kenneth Walker.
Yeah. And as just a policy, like signing a guy who just had the second best game of his career
And will never have a higher value than right now.
and looking at that and it happening in the Super Bowl, like the way free agency works is, and I can always call the winner's curse. Whenever there's an auction, whenever there's a lot of people trying to do something, inevitably the final price will be more expensive than it should be. And so that's always free agency. You throw in all this stuff and he's going to be overpaid even more. So like when you look at the first of all, the history of paying running backs, which isn't great in free agency, giving them big long-term contracts, and then you throw in that this will be even hyperinflated compared to all those numbers, the situation says you certainly should not do it because the value wouldn't be there. But that doesn't mean that, I mean, I kind of like it.
Well, I would then add on that I don't think he's a great Sean Payton scheme fit.
That's the tough.
Not a great receiver and not a great blocker in the backfield. All of that combined leads me to say thanks, but no thanks.
To me, that's RJ Harvey's job. Like you don't need
Which part?
both.
Both?
Like, because for RJ Harvey to work out, he needs to be able to block. Like, it's kind of just that simple. because when you're a receiving back, you can't just not be on the field on third downs.
And he's built for it.
Totally. And so Tyler Bidet got 31 targets last year. It's kind of, so I think across the NFL, teams ran 42, 43% of the time last year. The Broncos with Tyler Bidet on the field ran 4% of the time because it's all just 3rd and 5 or longer.
Yeah.
And the fact that RJ Harvey wasn't on the field meant that he just lost those 31 targets that go to Tyler Bidet. Imagine if those 31 targets go to RJ Harvey. Then he goes from the number 8 receiving back by catches and yards up into like top 3, top 4. So like that's the big thing for RJ is taking that, like solidifying the entire third down receiving back role, which is why I think the guy you pair him with, which is why JK was so perfect, is a guy who can just run between the tackles. Like I don't need him on third downs because you already have one of the, assuming he learns how to block, one of the 5 best third down backs in the NFL.
But Sean Payton offense is throwing to the back on 1st and 2nd down as well.
True. But I mean, it's not like he can't catch.
No, it's not a strength of his. The guy that I think is much more of a scheme fit, who is right in this exact same conversation, is Breece Hall. I think I would prefer Breece Hall, just given straight up numbers of the exact same. Who do you want? And this kind of sounds crazy. Maybe it won't to you guys, but Breece Hall is younger than Kenneth Walker. I kind of felt like Kenneth Walker was like super young.
Well, he's 25. And to be a free agent at 25 as a running back, that's not a number that scares you. You know, 28, 29, obviously 30. We all know that. Breece Hall, 24. They've both been in the league for 4 years now. So both came out in the same draft. One was Breece was a 2nd-round pick, and Kenneth Walker was a 3rd-round pick. I believe, were they both 2nd-round picks?
I think they were both second.
I thought they were both second, but
both 2nd-round picks. So both there. So, I mean, they are so unbelievably similar as players when you look at them in the career that they've had, not necessarily the style fits. And I think that's a very important point, Ryan. But you look at Kenneth Walker, 4 years in the league, he has 3,555 rushing yards and 1,000 receiving yards. You look at Breece Hall in those same 4 years, he has 3,398 rushing yards, so just about 150 less. And then receiving, he has 1,600, so about 600 more there. But in terms of, so you're absolutely right about him being a better receiver, but they are both very similar runners, both averaging about 750 yards per season. Kenneth Walker coming off his best season and his best run as well. And I do think that what's the advice? Buy low, sell high. With Kenneth Walker, you're doing the complete opposite, at least with buying as high as his value ever is. He's coming off an incredible playoffs, though. He's coming off a 1,000-yard season in the regular season, over 300 yards rushing in the playoffs, 150 in one game. The price tag would scare me just because I think it's going to be very, very high.
Yeah. Well, and at least before Sunday, the idea was he was going to be probably like $10 million cheaper than Breece Hall over a 4-year contract. I just think that's probably gone now.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Yeah, and I haven't watched enough Breece Hall because he was on such a bad team. So I haven't done my studying.
Isn't that extra intriguing about Breece Hall?
Yeah.
Like, he was doing really impressive things on a really bad football team. And it's just, you have that kind of hope that, wow, if you put him behind this Broncos offensive line with Bo Nix and, that threat as well, could he be, 35% better?
It's possible. Yeah, the big thing to me is you just need a guy with vision. Like, even if it's like CJ Anderson at the end of his career, wasn't a great athlete. Like, he's undrafted because he's nothing special athletically, but he'd see the hole every time. He'd take what the offensive line gives him every time. And that's all the Broncos need from a running back. That's literally, their offensive line can go get them 3-4 yards every single play. You just need a running back who's just willing to take that. And if you can throw in a Kenneth Walker who takes it and has the juice to do more, that's obviously incredible. But to me, when it comes to free agency, you just need to find a way to find somebody who just goes to the hole. Because the hole's big when you play for the Broncos.
So I have a question then for you. Speaking about that vision, you say they need someone.
I'd take that too.
You're saying they need someone that has that vision. We heard both Sean and George after the draft last year say RJ Harvey had the best vision in the draft. 1 year in, we have a sample size. Yeah. Are you giving up on that? Or do you still think that there is hope for him to not just be a good third down back, but to be an all-around back?
What do we think of hope?
It's not good.
Right, exactly. Like I still think it's possible. It's very possible. Like he might show up next year able to do that, but it's not hard to find running backs. Like again, like we're talking about, oh no, Kenneth Walker, is he going to be $14 million? Like compare that to a top of the line player at the other positions. Like you go spend $5-6 million and get a guy who you know can do it. And you just can't bet a season on will RJ Harvey take this step, especially when I think I'd rather have him focused on becoming like Alvin Kamara was never a 1,000-yard rusher. Like get the receiving stuff going. And that's even more valuable. If he could do both, great. So I'm not willing to give up, but I'm not willing to bet on it just because again, we saw that Patriots game where it's like he's running with the eyes closed half the time.
I think though you have to set how willing you are on a scale of like bet the whole season on RJ to there's no hope and hope is bad on him. You have to set that bar of where you're at, because if you're all the way at the bottom, then you're willing to go out and spend $14 million a year on a Breece Hall and Kenneth Walker. If you believe in RJ, like I do, I still think he can become that good running back. And I know at least at the end of the season, the Broncos still felt like RJ could be that. Then you're going out and maybe signing a $4 or $5 million running back to pair with RJ and to have him in case he doesn't do that. If you're right in the middle, maybe you're drafting another one in the second round, third round, something like that. So that's the interesting scale of what you have to decide.
If you're that high on him, I would re-sign JK.
Yeah. And
it's basically just like, well, let's buy 6 more games for RJ to develop before we're going to need him again at that level. I'm with Henry on betting a season in a Super Bowl window on that. I don't find to be wise. But I think there's plenty of players below the level of Breece Hall and Walker that could do the job that I think we're looking for them to do. And heck, as much as I don't know if I love the idea of trusting a rookie in that position again, you could also go into the draft and try to find that.
Yeah, you definitely could. And so let's continue this conversation. And I want to throw out some numbers for you guys for Breece Hall, for Kenneth Walker, and you tell me if they're intriguing enough to take and or if you want to go in a different direction, a cheaper route. That conversation's coming up next.
New built, restoration, and construction. New built, restoration, and construction. New built, restoration, and construction. I'm just repeating it because you're going to be in a chaotic situation and you're going to be thinking to yourself, what is that place that I heard on DNVR that helps with fire damage or water damage or mold at my house? And that's when you're going to remember new built, restoration, and construction, because they are there for you when you need it most, when you're in an emergency and you need someone to come to your house and fix whatever's wrong with it at any time of the day. That's right. They respond 24/7 because they truly care about being there for you, being there for great Denver sports fans, for DNVR people. And so when you have a problem, make sure you hit up our friends over at New Built Construction. You can check them out by going to nubilt.com or dial 720-903-4254. And make sure you let them know DNVR sent you. New Built, Restoration and Construction. New Built, Restoration and Construction. New Built, Restoration and Construction.
Common spirit. Common spirit. Common spirit. And the reason I'm saying that multiple times is because we're almost to springtime, almost to summertime. There's going to be a lot of weekend warriors. There's going to be a lot of people going out on the trails for hikes. There's going to be a lot of people playing sports. And if you want preventative care for your sports injuries, or if something does happen and you need help, Common Spirit is there for you. Their sports medicine department is all about those weekend warriors, the athletes, the people that love to move. They've got a new sports center in Common Spirit in Parker, and the team of qualified and passionate providers specializes in diagnosing, treatment, and prevention of sports-related injuries for all athletes, including your Denver Broncos. This is not just about fixing the problem, it's about preventative care. So don't let an injury keep you on the bench, or even better, get proactive about your health. For more information, visit mountain.commonspirit.org. Common Spirit Health, the official healthcare partner of the Denver Broncos. And shout out to everyone tuning in with us. Hit us with a thumbs up. We really appreciate every single one of you, especially rocking and rolling with us in the small part of the offseason that the Broncos actually have. We appreciate every single one of you, and those thumbs up help us even more right now. Okay, guys, so speaking of Spot Rack, I went on, and they have like a player estimated value.
Yep.
And for Kenneth Walker, they had it at $9 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if they've gone back in and done the Super Bowl MVP bump. So let's bump it up to 10 years or 4 years, $10 million a year. So 4-year, $40 million contract.
Which is what I think Breece Hall is probably getting.
And I was just going to say, both of those guys are on the market. 4 years, $40 million. Do you offer it to either one?
I would be very tempted to offer it to Breece. Very, very tempted. But if you're telling me, I need to know who the other options are to get with that money. Because if you're telling me I could get like a top or an upper tier receiver with that money, I would rather do that.
Can't do it with that money, though.
Well, you certainly can't do it without that money.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's fair. Not a 1-to-1.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But if you're telling me like Broncos have a chance to, like someone in the chat said something about a tag and trade with Pickens. Like if you told me that's a possibility, yes.
Okay.
I want that and pass on the running back and we'll just keep like moneyballing the running back. If you tell me that like, nah, it's not really going to come to fruition with him or like Justin Jefferson isn't forcing his way out or whatever, and the Broncos have a chance, this is their one chance to add a dynamic playmaker for the offensive side of the ball, I would take Breece.
Yeah. To me, I mean, running back is the biggest need for this team right now. And I don't even think it's close. I think they're in the Super Bowl if they just have a functional run game. And like you just needed functional, not even like good. Like you could have thrown Kareem Hunt back there. You could have thrown all sorts of different guys. You just needed somebody. The Broncos are in a unique spot where having an offensive line that good, all you need is a guy who can see the hole. Like there are a lot of teams where, sure, you can throw in a back who, you know, bounces things outside, tries to create, and is a little bit boomer bust because of it. But that's just a waste in Denver when there's just an automatic 3-4 yards every single time. So I think, to me, the other piece of it is that the Broncos have a chance to have the best run game in the NFL. Adding a George Pickens doesn't make them a top 5 passing offense, I don't think. Like they still have some growth there. And when you get down to the playoffs, it's all about strengths. It's the team with the best fastball that wins more often than not. And so if you're able to just run on teams in the playoffs, you should be able to win a lot of playoff games. And they're already 90% of the way there. Like that offensive line really is that good. Yep. J.K. Dobbins proved it, and he's a really good running back himself. But if you can just find somebody who can run the ball productively, like you put Saquon in this offense, he's going for 1,800 yards, you know, and that guy's not out there. So I think I'm all in on getting the best running back you can get. And I'm not ready to say, like I said, like I watched the Kenneth Walker highlights. Vision looks awesome there. If you go back through and watch the plays that don't work, is that where like the bouncing things outside narrative shows up? There's a good chance. Like Breece Hall, I haven't seen enough, but I love the idea of doing it for one of them or making a trade or doing something, because I think the easiest way to upgrade this team is to go get or find or even just have a healthy J.K. Dobbins and have one of the 3 best run games in the NFL. Because it's right there for you.
I'm not nearly as out or as down or as low on RJ Harvey, so I'm not making this big of a splash in free agency, because I think when you make a big splash in free agency, you are essentially saying like RJ's done as in terms of an all-around back.
I don't think so.
As an all-around back, yes, you're putting him in a third down role if you go and sign someone for over $10 million to be your first and second down back.
Putting him into the Alvin Kamara role and saying we need our Mark Ingram.
Like Alvin Kamara is still right there.
But then Alvin took over as the everything.
Eventually,
but still was never like a 1,000-yard rusher. Again, you still always had another guy who's going, because like Kenneth Walker,
but he was the main guy. And if you do that, RJ is no longer the main guy.
You can have 2. I get it, and I want to say I'm not out on RJ Harvey at all. Like I think what RJ did as a rookie is incredibly encouraging.
But don't
like,
you think aren't you out on him? The way you're talking, Liz, it seems like you're out on him as a first and second down back.
No.
It's just not being willing to say like, I'm confident enough that he will be that next year to not make a move to give me a more sure thing.
But when you make one of these big moves that we're talking about right now, you are saying that you're not going to sign either of them for 1 year. Or even a 2-year deal where you get out of it after 1 year. You're talking about a 4-year deal. So you are not just saying for this year, you're talking about the next 3 years.
Potentially, but you could also, trade them or something along those lines if RJ for some reason blows up.
And if they both work out, then you're looking like the Saints of the Sean Payton era. You know, like
having two
that's
great
best
running
case
backs is
scenario.
not a problem.
That's the goal. Like you go back to like the Broncos back in the day with Mike Anderson and Terrell Davis. Like there were a whole bunch of those things that just work. But I think, to be clear, I am all in on RJ Harvey. Like you go through, so he's pick 60. You go through all the running backs drafted from pick 50 to 70 since the NFL expanded 16 game seasons. And by fantasy points, which is an interesting metric, but it is like the catch-all that includes touchdowns and all that stuff, he's 8th out of those 87. And you just go by like pure total yardage. I think he's 12th. Like in just about every stat, he exceeded what you did. The thing is, it just skewed very heavily toward receiving production. And so when you know that this is going to be a 2-back system, if you tell me I either get RJ Harvey's touches between the tackles or as a receiver, I say, based on everything we've seen, I guess assuming he can block a little bit better, as a baseline, he's James White, Darren Sproles, Austin Eckler. And you're still very much very much hoping that he's Alvin Kamara. And so when you ask me, like, do I want him in the Joker role or the other role? Put him in the Joker role. And because of how important the running back, I think, is for the Broncos, give me a really good running back in the other role, too. Give me both.
Yeah.
I'll invest.
Yeah. And I mean, there's a comment that says, like, he was a rookie, give him a chance. I think both of us are in agreement that he's a part of the plan. Like,
absolutely.
And you could even be a big part of the plan.
Like,
but there's just no reason to not try to improve on him.
But I think there's a difference there. And I think you're saying, Henry, you're not out on him at all. No. The way you're talking kind of feels like that. And Ryan's saying he could still be a big part of the plan. Not really if you go and invest in massively. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not in on the massive investment in a running back. So my plan, and this shows how I feel about RJ, I'm re-signing JK. And I know you guys have some questions about that. It's probably a longer conversation than we have time for today, but I'm re-signing JK because it's that mid to small level investment. Unfortunately, because he got hurt, he's not going to go out and get paid. And running it back there. But what I'm also doing is improving that third running back and using a pretty good sample or pretty good investment into it, a third, a fourth round pick to add. So it's not just rerunning the room again, because you know JK might get hurt. So give RJ that opportunity to jump up there. And then you have another third or fourth round pick to continue to try to develop. But I am so in on RJ still as a first and second down guy. And I totally get what you're saying about having multiple. And I don't hate that, but that's just not my plan.
So if they were to go get Kenneth Walker, what percentage of the running back, like snaps or touches, do you think he gets? And how much goes to Harvey?
I mean, he's your first and second down back. So you could say 66%.
I think it's 50-50.
No.
I think maybe it's 55-45. But again, like we saw with Zach Charbonnet this year. He was their third down back with Kenneth Walker doing the other stuff. Like, I think there's room for both.
What it comes down to me is, like, I am in on RJ. I really like RJ. I'm not willing to bet a Super Bowl on RJ.
Right. This year.
Yeah.
Like, you got to show something. Because you get like 3.7 yards per carry just sucks. Especially like a lot of it is when he's at his very best, it's on the sweeps and the tosses where you're getting him out in space. And that's not capitalizing on the easy yardage that the offensive line can give you. And I think that doesn't mean he can't do it, but like J.K. Dobbins, 37% more pre-contact yardage per rush than RJ Harvey. Again, if RJ is just able to close that gap, then he gets to league average running back. But I think it's so easy just to say, here's an automatic, really good running back. And like you go get Kenneth Walker, RJ Harvey's role is still expanding next year because he's eating into Tyler Bidet. And that's why I think if you want to go get, I'd love to see Dobbins, Walker, and RJ Harvey. Like if Dobbins really is only $2 million, go make it happen. But I think you have a chance to use RJ Harvey in a way that makes him a Pro Bowl running back. Don't ask him to do what he's not as good at.
Yeah. I think it's a fascinating conversation. And one part that we haven't brought up yet that I think is important is what would having a dominant or even very, very good running game do for Bo Nix? And I think that it could be like a complete unlock to that next level. We talk about him leveling up, which I think he did at least twice again last year after doing it twice in his rookie year. Could having a dominant running game take him up 2 more levels? I think it possibly could.
Yeah, certainly. Right. And it's a very good point. But Ryan, you mentioned you would give that money to Kenneth Walker or Breece Hall potentially if a big wide receiver wasn't on the table and you had that money to use there. I think you can use that money on a big wide receiver, a big tight end, or a big upgrade in the pass game, and then that $2 million on J.K. Dobbins. And boom, there you go. And that's the route that I'm going. And then I think you help the run game get better. And then at the same time, you're also helping the pass game get better by having the run game and then also giving Bo that other weapon too.
What's the David Montgomery situation? Is he a free agent?
I don't think so. I think there's just been some talk that with the way Jahmyr Gibbs is absolutely taking over as not just a third down back, but everything, that they might move on from him.
Okay. That intrigues me. And then I haven't dove into Tyler Algier yet. What I will say is this. I have Bijan Robinson on my fantasy team. And so whenever Tyler Algier goes on the field, I get pissed. Mm-hmm. And then he does really well. And I'm like, damn, they're not going to take him out now.
He'd be a good...
He is...
That's just my perspective on it.
And there's a lot of people in the Twitter chat saying Tyler Algier. So Ryan, I'm happy you brought him up. I get the hype 3 years ago when he was an undrafted rookie and had 1,000 yards his first season, and there was so much hype around him. They did add Bijan Robinson, so naturally his production goes down. Yep. But not just his total stats went down, his efficiency went down. Last year, I think he ran for 3.6 yards per carry, and that's coming off of, seasons where he ran for 4.4, 4.5, so he's going down. That's like a third running back upgrade, in my opinion, and you're not looking to pay a third running back a decent amount of money, even $4 or $5 million. So I don't understand. I would like people in the Twitter chat who want Algier to let me know why, because to me it feels like it's back to 2022 of why you want him. But I don't see that one. Henry, do you disagree?
No, I mean, I think the
2 really good seasons, 2 very average or below average seasons.
Right. And you throw in like...
So 22 was obviously a great season. He averaged 4.9 yards per carry, 1,035 yards. And obviously they bring in Bijan Robinson. The next year he went down to 3.7 yards per carry of 683 yards. But then the next year he went back up to 4.7 yards per carry, 644 yards. And then this last year was his worst yards per carry season, only 3.6. He did have 8 touchdowns, though.
Right.
Because if we're talking touchdowns, we have to give credit to R.J. Harvey for 12 touchdowns.
Absolutely.
I'm just
saying he's going to be a Pro Bowler.
The 8 touchdowns stood out to me as a Bijan Robinson fantasy player.
That's very true.
Yes. But again, that's why for a back like Algier, I wouldn't read too much in the yards per carry. Because success rate is basically what it was at the start of his career. But now you're not giving him it's 1st and 10. Who's our best running back? It's Tyler Algier. No. Now it's Bijan, which means 3rd and 1 or down by the goal line. You wind up seeing 8 touchdowns because
that's a good point.
How many of those were 1 yard? And so it hurts the average. So I mean, he certainly isn't a starter. I think in a lot of ways fits the mold of what I think the Broncos need, which is a guy who, again, just take what the offensive line gives you because they give you a lot. But you can do that and get juice. So if you were to bring JK back and bet on the health and you wanted him as your number 3, then I would be underwhelmed, but it would make sense in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at this live on the show, I think I would prefer the RJ, JK, someone else mix rather than leaning on Algier. David Montgomery is kind of exactly the back that we're talking about if he were available for whatever reason, in terms of just having good vision, falling forward, taking what was there.
The line, it's tough to say, is he actually he wasn't as fun to watch this year. Yeah. The juice seems to be gone. And how old is he? He's going to be 29 this season. It's what happens when you're out of the Lions ecosystem where it is guys generally look better there. But yeah, I think, again, it's another underwhelming.
And I think it comes back to something that I've just talked about a lot when it comes to positional value and the crusade against running backs.
Yeah.
To me, it really comes down to is, do you have a great one? If you have a great one, then it's worth paying them.
Yep.
If you don't, then you're probably better off moneyballing it. But is Breece Hall great?
I'm going to find out.
I think he might be.
I got to watch a lot of football.
Where do you
Josh Jacobs would be perfect.
Where do you draw the line at great? when you talk about running backs? Is it top 3? Is it top 5? Is it top 10?
Just depends.
Probably top 5.
But okay, so is he a top 5 running back? He has been. He can be at times.
But remember, he's on the Jets.
And he just had 1,000. I give him credit for having 1,000-yard season this past year with the Jets, who had no quarterback. All you had to do was plan on stopping the run, whether it was the run in Breece Hall, the run in Justin Fields. That's all you had to do, and he had 1,000 yards. So I give him a lot of credit there. Is he special? Because I think top 5 running backs are special, and you're talking about guys that can take over games. I don't know. I'm not.
Yeah, I just haven't watched him enough.
I think
he plays for the Jets.
He's probably right on the edge.
I think so.
So like
exactly.
ESPN does like their top 10 for each position. So last year they've got Saquon number 1. He's great. Derrick Henry number 2. He's great. Jahmyr Gibbs number 3. He's great. Bijan number 4. He's great. Christian McCaffrey number 5. Great.
Yep.
Josh Jacobs number 6. Great. Jonathan Taylor number 7. Great. James Cook number 8. You probably have to say great.
So yeah, I mean maybe he's not all that close to the top 5.
That's kind of where like the drop off is. But then again, like Devon Achane has been incredible. At some point, you just got to throw him up there.
All of those guys you said have been like 1,500-yard rushers, or like very capable of that. Breece Hall, obviously very capable of 1,000 yards. I'm not writing him out that he can't be a 1,500-yard guy, but is he?
Again, I haven't watched yet.
Over 4 yards per carry in every season, 5.8 his first, 4.5, 4.2, 4.4 this year. Yeah, I mean, he's now that you put that list out, he's not in that top tier.
No.
Could he be right behind it or even in it with the Broncos offensive line after adjusting for the Jets offensive line? We saw J.K. Dobbins be the 3rd or 2nd in rushing yards when he went down.
But you look at some other guys in there. So like Josh Jacobs with the Packers, he's in that great category. He was also great with the Raiders, and that wasn't a good offensive line.
Yeah.
So who else changed teams? Bijan hasn't. Jahmyr hasn't. Derrick Henry changed teams, and he was also great with the Titans. Saquon, also great with the Giants, although there were like the injuries and the kind of ups and downs. Breece hasn't had the flashes that the guys who have changed teams and been great have had.
I think when you go watch the Breece Hall tape, you're going to come back really liking
all I
him.
want is just the offensive line will give you 4 yards. Go get the 4 yards.
Yeah, but
and then on top of that, do you actually like go make something happen?
That's the thing is that's what he's really good at.
Because if you can throw those
two together,
to
that second level, mid first level, or deep first level, like he makes people miss, he breaks it out, he makes big plays. He's great as a receiver. We'll see.
So let me ask you this question, because we're talking about going after big names and things like that. Let's shift to the draft really quick, and we don't have to get into names, but would you be willing to invest that 30th pick? Because you talk about value and how running backs aren't valued at times. That's a position where you might get good value at the end of the first round. Would you two be willing to use your first round pick on a running back this year?
I don't see anyone who's going to be in that range that would be
because you assume Jeremiah Love is gone.
He's gone.
Yeah.
And that's the game-changing back in this. Like, I don't see like even like a Travion Henderson at the end of the first round where it's like, like the upside's really high here. And by the way, Patriots kind of just stopped giving him the ball once the games got really big.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not interested in the draft. Like, if you want to go draft a 3rd running back because you've gotten, I don't like a draft with JK just because of the health stuff. But if you go sign a guy to be like that 1-2 punch with RJ, then the 3rd could be a rookie. But this is just not a situation where there's any need to gamble. Like it is, you have such a good offensive line. There are good running backs out there. You can find a guy who's like David Montgomery's out there. He might not be flashy, but you know that he will give you 4.5 yards per carry if you just run the ball with him because of the offensive. So I don't think you need to go the draft route and say like, he just didn't really pan out as a rookie, because it's just too important to get this position right, and it's too easy to do. So I think
so. Then Henry,
do it.
Tell me your plan. You're George Payton and Sean Payton. What's your plan for running back this offseason?
I think it's probably between Kenneth Walker and Breece Hall. I mean, those are the 2 top free agents. Like I said, I don't know which one I go with right now.
Walker's not going to be available.
Most likely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the Seahawks and why he definitely won't be available in my opinion. It's $74 million in cap space. I think they have the third most cap space, or at least top 5 most cap space. You don't let him walk.
It would be kind of like, and it could come back to bite them, but like a big brain move for them to be like, we're not paying him when his value is this high. We have Charbonnet.
Yeah, a guy that they liked a lot.
Yeah.
Now Kenneth Walker has been the starter and their guy, even with Charbonnet, but they do like Charbonnet a lot to split the carries.
Yeah. So I think you look at the top guys who are free agents and see if you can get one of those. And if you do, then you say, JK, if you want to be the third guy in this room, you can do it. And we'll split the touches, however the touches are earned during training camp. And
JK would say no to that.
Right. He probably says no. If he says no, then you move on to whoever else. I'd be interested to see trade stuff. I'd certainly be reaching out. Because next year you've got like Bijan will be on the club option. Could you try to prime away? If it costs a first round pick, that's just fine with me. Jonathan Taylor would be a free agent. You probably can't do that. But I'd be interested in the trade market to see if you could find somebody before you hit that next tier behind the two guys at the top of the free agents this year. And eventually you get down to saying like JK is the best option. But again, with JK, the thing to me is if you told me JK's playing 10 games, so he's playing the playoff games, awesome. But when you have the injury history that he does, I asked the Ravens about it. It's not the first time a team has been kind of screwed over by the fact that he got hurt and missed the playoffs. And that's why
but you
he'd be kind of a last resort.
You get it your way. Who are you signing in free agency?
Walker, Breece Hall.
Which one?
I don't know. Haven't watched.
Okay.
I'll go Kenneth Walker based on what I saw in the Super Bowl.
Okay. Ryan, what's your plan?
Again, it kind of comes down to, can I get a big time playmaker at receiver? If not, then I would sign Breece Hall.
Okay, so it sounds like you're George Payton and Sean Payton. You get to make the decisions. You would go after that receiver.
Yeah, definitely.
So then what's your plan at running back?
If I were to get, let's just say George Pickens, paying him a boatload of money, then I would do RJ Harvey, J.K. Dobbins, and a rookie.
Where are you drafting the rookie-ish?
Late day, fourth round or beyond.
Okay, so day 3. Okay, yeah. I'm very similar with you. My number one plan is to re-sign JK. He's your number one when healthy. RJ's your number 2, just like it was where he's your joker. And then I'm using a 3rd round pick. Would be willing to use a 2nd round pick, but likely 3rd, 4th round pick on a running back to have that be that number 3. And this is something that's going to be big for the Broncos because Sean said after the year, we've got to figure out the running game. And then at the same time, both he and George Payton made it very clear how much of a loss JK was. And you can take that one of two ways. You can say that they absolutely want JK back because he's that good and that was just such a blow. Or you could say they don't want to rely on a guy that when you lose him, it's that big of a loss. So it's going to be interesting. Ryan, you had something?
Yeah, just on Breece Hall, because I think the first thing people do is they like go to their page and they just look at the rushing yards. And he's only been over 1,000 yards once. But he also had a season with 994 rushing yards and 591 receiving yards. And then this last year, of course, he goes over 1,000, but he also had 350 receiving yards. The year before this, he goes for 876 yards, but also 483 receiving yards.
Yeah, he's an everything back. Yep. And he is, he's really good. Now, it's crazy when you pull up that list, Henry, of other running backs, and it's like, man, there's 8 great special running backs in the NFL. And that might be a reason to go in the draft, is because there are so many guys that come out and that can be special right away as well. So, man, it's fascinating and it's interesting how there can be so many different opinions on this, and we're all kind of similar yet have different approaches of how we're going to take it. It's going to be interesting to see what Sean and George do in literally less than a month, guys. The official first day of free agency is 4 weeks from today. The unofficial start is less than a month away, which is crazy. Broncos have $26 million, which I think is 12th, 15th most in the NFL in terms of open cap space, and so they've got some money to work with.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It'd be so easy to have the best run game in the NFL. You just need a running back capable of doing it, and JK could do it. But I'm curious what they do. They're in a tough spot. Then the one thing I'd add is that one of the strengths of this Broncos front office has been you draft premium positions and get them cost controlled, And then in free agency, you invest in the other positions. So, like last year, you get a linebacker, a safety, a running back eventually, and a tight end. Like you're not going after corners and edge rushers and tackles. They did have to the first year because they didn't have one. But I think that makes me think that you probably keep that same policy. Like the idea that the value for high money positions is in the draft, value for other positions is in free agency. So I wouldn't be surprised if they say we could make something happen.
To be fair, though, last year they did use a second round pick on a running back.
Right, but not the first round. That was a corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Second round. I would say first and second round picks are
okay.
Big investments.
that.
Yeah, especially with running back. Second round is almost the first round for them sometimes.
Yeah.
Someone asked, why is no one scared about George Pickens in this locker room? I truly am not. He didn't have any issues in Dallas this last year. He also is coming into such a strong locker room and even like a strong receiving room where they, like Courtland hasn't complained about getting the ball. None of these guys really complain. So you're going to a place where there's a really solid foundation. And then here's the other thing. Sean Payton's getting that man the ball a lot. So he's not going to have anything to complain about. I think that there's a threshold of how talented a player is to what you're willing to put up with or risk. And I think he far exceeds it. I'm taking my time to decide if AJ Brown does.
Okay, I like that. And let's have these conversations about George Pickens and AJ Brown because I think everyone wants George Pickens to an extent. But Ryan, are you willing to pay him $40 million a year? Are you willing to, if it is a sign and trade? Let's get to that conversation in the next 10 days or so. Maybe we do it tomorrow, but maybe we do it next week. That's going to be fun. Enjoyed this conversation. Let us know in the Twitter chat and if you're tuning in below what your plans are for the running back position. We'll be back with our guy Brian Baldinger joining us tomorrow. And how about we redraft the 2024 draft with the quarterbacks? Where does Bo Nix end up on this list? That's going to be fun. We're going to ask Baldy about it. And we will see you tomorrow on the DNVR Broncos podcast.
God bless Bo Nix.
We all silly like the mayor.